Hello and welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Vimasalin Singh. Our top stories this week: outgoing Prime Minister, Speaker and Cabinet Minister offer chawang to His Majesty the King. Almost half of newborn babies in Bhutan not exclusively breastfed. And cancellation of this year's National Bodybuilding Championship leaves bodybuilders upset. The outgoing Prime Minister, Speaker, Cabinet Ministers of the second elected government offered chawang to His Majesty the King at the Dashichozong. With this, the government officially completed its 5-year term.
As per the Constitution, the interim government should be formed within the next 15 days of the government dissolution. The Druk appoints an interim government to function for a period which shall not exceed 90 days. The interim government will consist of a chief advisor and other advisors appointed by the Druk. However, till the establishment of an interim government, the cabinet will continue their office. As per Article 19 of the Constitution, the Prime Minister and the ministers shall resign from office upon the appointment of the interim government. The Prime Minister, along with the other National Assembly members, surrendered their Kabne and Pata this afternoon at the National Assembly Hall. They also offered Tashumelam in presence of the Dorje Lebe of the Central Monastic Body. During the last Meet the Press on Monday, Dashsring Topge said, upon the completion of its term, the cabinet ministers shall hand over all their duty vehicles and office equipment as well. The Second National Assembly was constituted on 2nd of August in 2013. Samtin Dolkar, PBS News.
Law Review Task Force's report has recommended prohibiting parties from replacing candidates after the primary round of election. The report on harmonization and consolidation of laws in Bhutan has cited several negative consequences if it is allowed. Meanwhile, political parties shared mixed reaction to the task force's recommendation.
According to the report, the Constitution does not require political parties to declare their candidates before the primary election. Only a letter of intent with a tentative list of candidates needs to be submitted by parties wishing to contest the primary round of election. But the Election Commission made declaration of candidates before the primary round a requirement for the past 2 National Assembly elections. It remains the same even now for the upcoming election. Section 209C of the Election Act allows a candidate from a losing party to join another party for the general election. It states, he or she is a member of a registered political party which could not qualify for the general elections but is admitted as a member and nominated as a candidate by a political party to contest in the general election. However, his or her membership in the original political party shall be forfeited. The task force has cited several negative consequences such as instigating corrupt practices among parties and candidates and parties not taking primary round seriously if replacement of candidates after the primary round is allowed. Thus, the task force recommended amending the Election Act by making declaration of candidates prior to primary round a requirement and to restrict parties replacing candidates on the eve of general election. However, not all parties agree with the recommendation made by the task force.
The present system, I think, is very good because you may have certain cases whereby you have a party which is overall not strong and goes out in the primary, but that party might have some really good candidates. And because of the party, we don't want to lose those good candidates. So this gives them an opportunity to join another party and contest in the primary general election. So in that way, I think the country will win.
Druk Pinsam Thokpa in a SMS statement said, The current law is clear and in good order. Horse trading of candidates or coalition is illegal. However, some parties abused the law in 2013. Such practice should be strictly prohibited. On the other hand, Bhutan Kinyam Party shared inconsistencies with the laws itself.
The law is not very clear whether we have to submit all 47 names in the list of tentative candidates. However, the Election Commission interprets whereby all 47 candidates' names are required. If that is the case, the law also allows in the general round whereby those parties who have not qualified can move to another party of their choice. So therefore, there is some inconsistency.
Druk Nyamru Tsokpa shared their discontentment with the task force picking on just one provision from the Election Act.
So while the task force has taken out only one perspective of the negative aspects, they have not looked at the reason why such a provision was kept in the Election Act when it was enacted in 2008. And I think one of the reasons for this was that to allow the constituency and the voters to have the best candidates represent them.
The recommendations made by the task force is straightforward. Make declaration of candidates compulsory and bar candidates from switching parties. However, with the present government on the cusp of dissolution, the impetus of whether or not to carry forward the task force recommendation will fall on the next government, whoever it may be. Sharaf Doji, BBS News.
More than the intention, it is the willpower to confront various social challenges that a woman has to consider to become a politician. This was highlighted during a dialogue between a group of aspiring women politicians from 3 parties and journalists. The event was held in Paro.
11 aspiring women politicians shared their experiences during the dialogue. Acceptance by the society still remains the biggest challenge. They said, while male opponents look down on them, rural voters still believe male candidates would be better than female.
Like some of my other women colleagues, they have geographic physical challenges in terms of, like, one of my constituency, Hagi constituency women, she was sharing about the story about, you know, where they have to go inaccessible nalfa charo mi mo charo chuwe. For me personally, in the North Thimpu constituency, the sense that I get is that most women do not see many women in leadership position. So for many, it is very difficult to visualize women in leadership position.
The amsugi kangildi as pogida chepda as midabala. The dunka timdea hemara amsudi sugi noksam gadibetanga hemara.
The challenges as a woman is different to that of men's. When we step forward, we think about our family's situation and security. The general misconception is that women feel that they have low self-confidence and esteem than men.
I went to Shemgang on 21st April, the day the NC elections concluded, no? And then I'm still searching. I have not been able to find a GEOC coordinator for one of my GEOCs. And now I'm questioning, is it because of Bhutan Kinyam Party being fairly new, or is it because me being a woman, they don't have trust and confidence in me? You know?
The candidates also shared their expectations from the media and requested to give them voice, face and platform. This time, of the 188 aspiring National Assembly candidates from 4 political parties, only 19 are women. Bhutan Kinyam Party has the highest number of women candidates with 7, followed by Druk Nyamrup Tsokpa and Druk Phinsum Tsokpa with 5 each. People's Democratic Party has only 2 women candidates. For Pema Sultan Sring, Pasang Doji for BBS News.
Almost half of newborn babies in Bhutan are not exclusively breastfed. Exclusive breastfeeding involves feeding only breast milk until the child is 6 months old. This practice of feeding infant is proved to save child deaths globally, but not many mothers in the country exclusively breastfeed their babies. As the world observes International Breastfeeding Week, we bring forward a story on the importance of exclusive breastfeeding and how breastfeeding lays the foundation of life.
Exclusive breastfeeding is shown to help children survive, preventing 16% child deaths globally. According to The Lancet, an international medical journal, an exclusively breastfed child is 14 times less likely to die in the first 6 months than a non-breastfed child. Breastfeeding also drastically reduces deaths from acute respiratory infection and diarrhea, two major child killers. Further, breastfeeding is also shown to lower risk of chronic conditions later in life, such as obesity, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, childhood asthma, and childhood leukemia.
Breastfeeding is indeed very important, and it can save many lives. It is very important that breastfeeding is initiated after the first hour the baby is born, and it should be actually exclusive breastfeeding until the baby is 6 months old. So why is that? It is because the breast milk has a lot of nutrients, and it actually has also antibodies. So breast milk is like the first vaccine for the baby. So it protects against diseases. It protects and helps that the baby doesn't get sick initially. And it is also very nutritious, which means it is very important for the growth of the baby.
He added there is growing evidence that breastfeeding helps in brain and cognitive development. But many mothers do not exclusively breastfeed their babies for the first 6 months. Some mothers stop breastfeeding or introduce complementary feeding way too early before the child is 6 months old. This is because many Bhutanese mothers feel breast milk alone is insufficient.
Doctors actually advise us not to feed any other food besides breast milk. But the baby gets thirsty, so I give the baby water as well. I fed just breast milk for up to 3 months, and after that I fed complementary food like Horlicks and formula milk. We cannot exclusively breastfeed the baby until the baby is 6 months, like doctors advise.
Some share short maternity leave also hampers exclusive breastfeeding among working mothers. Samtan Hamu has taken both the 3 months and the extended 6 months maternity leave and shared how the extended maternity leave enhanced exclusive breastfeeding for her second child.
After extending the maternity leave to 6 months, we can feed as and when the baby needs to be fed. We can feed 7 to 8 times in a day. We can also see a difference in a child's health. They don't fall ill when we feed them adequately. I could breastfeed my first child for just 3 months and he would fall ill more often, whereas I could exclusively breastfeed my second child since I got 6 months maternity leave and he's doing fine and healthy. I had to feed formula milk when we did not have 6 months maternity leave. We couldn't go home time and again to breastfeed.
According to the Public Health Department, there is at least one trained health worker in every health center counseling the mothers on good practices of breastfeeding. But there are still a lot of areas the health sector needs to improve to encourage exclusive and continued breastfeeding.
Even in the health centers, I think we, except for Jigme Dorji Wangchuk National Referral Hospital, where we have a lactation clinic, where we show them how to position the baby, how to feed and all those things. The other hospitals also need to have such places where they can demonstrate to the mothers how to breastfeed properly. And also they need to improve the mother and baby friendly services in the hospitals by providing them proper places where they can do all this breastfeeding and all those.
The department is also proposing on creating conducive feeding places in public and offices to encourage mothers to breastfeed. Pupgame for BBS News.
The generous donation of 258 essential medicines by Bangladesh will save about 150 million yutam for the Bhutan Health Trust Fund. Bhutan usually imports essential medicine worth over 150 million yutam every year to meet the demand. As per World Health Organization, essential medicines are those that satisfy the priority healthcare needs of the population.
Essential medicines are selected with due regard to public health relevance and evidence on effectiveness and safety. Currently, Bhutan has 429 medicines in the Bhutanese Essential Medicines list, out of which 258 will be donated by Bangladesh this year.
It is very significant that it's not only that they are going to help us save lives of our people, improve the quality of life of our people, but also helps ease a little bit of the health trust fund money, at least in this fiscal year.
Bhutan received a package of essential medicines from Bangladesh last week, symbolizing the handing over of the 258 essential medicines. Bhutan requested for the supply of these medicines for a year during Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's state visit to the country last year. The medicines will be delivered in 3 phases over the months of September, October and November. Sonam Pem for BBS News.
In about 2 weeks' time from now, the radiology diagnostic services at Mongar Regional Referral Hospital will be fully functional. By then, the hospital will have a radiologist to examine the result of various medical imaging techniques the hospital is equipped with.
Since last month, the hospital has been providing radiology diagnostic services such as CT scan and Holter ECG monitoring. Although 2 radiographers manage the facilities, in absence of a radiologist, the test reports have to be sent to the National Referral Hospital in Thimphu for examination. The medical superintendent of the hospital, Palden Wangchuk, said a radiologist will be temporarily posted at the hospital by mid of this month, which will help resolve such problems. The hospital will also get 2 additional radiology technicians. Meanwhile, for the people, waiting for a radiologist is just a matter of time. For now, they are happy the hospital has CT scan facility.
Having a CT scan machine here at the hospital will benefit us immensely. We will no longer have to travel to Thimphu for such a service.
Such medical facilities will not only be advantageous to the people of Mongar, but to the people of entire eastern Bhutan. People have to go to Thimphu for a CT scan, and for some, it's difficult. They do not have anyone there to stay with.
The Japanese government donated the radiology health equipment worth 32 million gitam to the hospital. The donation also included an MRI scan machine and a spirometer. For Sonam Sring in Mongar, Sonam Wongdi, BBS News.
Some 160 Bhutanese families living in Jagung will get an affordable house to live in within Phuntsling soon. The housing colony of the National Housing Development Corporation was inaugurated recently.
506 units are under construction as part of the housing project. The project will be complete by end of this year. This is expected to address the perennial problem of housing shortage in Phuntsling to some extent.
I think to a great extent that what we feel is that not only that NSCCL is taking up the project, but also like other stakeholders like the private landowners which the Tromde has initiated, or they have finalized the local area plan. So with that I think it is going to drastically reduce the housing crunch in Phuntsling.
Like this time, the apartments under construction will be allotted through a lucky draw once complete.
So we have 1,259, and which we will be doing the final verification. After final verification, there is an independent allotment committee which will do the allotment for the applicants. And I think from management side and the secretariat side, the tenants will be quite fortunate to live here peacefully, and I think it's also an opportunity for these the tenants, lucky tenants, so that they can rededicate their service to the towers.
Each unit has 2 bedrooms, a sitting room and toilet and kitchen attached. Its rent ranges from 4 to 7,000 yuta. Meanwhile, Phuntsling Tromde office is also working on local area plans to develop the town and come up with more residential areas to address the housing shortage.
To complete the local plan, area plan, it took around 6 to 7 years now. So 6 to 7 years there was no construction. So because of that one, the impact is now resulted now. Now henceforth we have already completed the local area plan. Now we are in the process of implementing that, like putting the infrastructure like roads, water is very must for the settlement. So these are the things that we are starting now. And some of our local area plan have already completed. But why again the construction is not blooming up is because there is no infrastructure. So from 2016 to 17 and 17 to 18, we are pushing up with the roads and waters. Now we are very hopeful that in between the 2 to 4 years, within that scale, there will be slightly the housing crisis will go down.
Today, there are approximately 5,000 Bhutanese living in Jagang owing to shortage of affordable houses in Phinsoling. Most of them fall within the low income. The NHTC is spending 890 million yutam for the housing project in Phinsoling. For Sonam Tsering in Phinsoling, Pasang Doji for BBC News.
Paddy transplantation season is already on, but for farmers of Dankar in Shemgang, works are yet to begin. The village has been hit by a dry spell following delayed monsoon rainfall.
Acres of fields remain dry as farmers of Dankar wait for rainfall. Paddy transplantation has been delayed by more than a month now. Locals have to depend on rainwater since they do not have an irrigation channel. Many have already given up paddy cultivation, leaving their fields fallow for years.
It has been almost 15 years since I gave up paddy cultivation. So when the news of new irrigation channel came, all of us were happy. But today, even after several meetings and discussions, the project is yet to materialize. We did not get the irrigation channel as promised. Both the present and former governments failed to construct the facility of the hour for us.
With no irrigation water, we have to buy rice. An irrigation channel is our top priority. Hope the next government will provide us with one.
The dry monsoon has affected farmers in other parts of Shemgang as well. The transplanted paddy seedlings have started to wilt. And as rainfall gets delayed, some communities are also conducting rituals to appease the local deities for help. Meanwhile, Songkhak agriculture officials said the proposed new irrigation channel project for Dankar has been sent to the concerned ministry. They added there is not much the office can do to address the issue. For now, it seems waiting for rainfall is the only option left for the people of Dankar. And as they do so, they hope black clouds appear bringing along the pending rain at the earliest. For Pema Samrup in Shemgang, Pasang Doji for BBC News.
For bodybuilders in the country, the National Bodybuilding Championship has been the biggest platform to showcase one's hard work and dedication. But with the cancellation of this year's competition, many in the field are disappointed. Lack of officials with the organizing body has been stated as the reason for the cancellation.
Since the inception of the championship in 2008, the National Bodybuilding Championship has been growing in stature and the number of participants increasing every year. It is held annually to promote and encourage youth in bodybuilding and create awareness on fitness. The competition brings together professional and amateur bodybuilders, both men and women, competing against each other for the Mr. Bhutan and Miss Bhutan titles. Today, there are more than 20 bodybuilders registered with Bhutan Bodybuilding Association. However, the cancellation of this year's championship has left most of them upset, and more so because of the late announcement.
I have been preparing for the Mr. Bhutan Championship, and at the last moment, I was told that there is no championship this year. We are not happy with it since it is an annual event. We spent around 60 to 70,000 yutam to build our bodies, and we have been staying on diet for the last 3 months.
Other bodybuilders we talked to shared similar opinions. Another bodybuilder from Thimphu, who did not want to be named, said it was just a few weeks ago that they heard the competition would not happen this year. Tandin Wongchen, a member of Bhutan Bodybuilding Association and a bodybuilder himself, says the news has left many upset and discouraged.
Till now, they have been training and maintaining their diet. They were thinking that the national championship, Mr. Bhutan, will come up. So when they heard that there is no national championship, Mr. Bhutan, so they were quite discouraged and moved further.
He says the reason is because the association has been without a governing body since last year. And in the absence of a governing body, the association failed to put a budget proposal to the Bhutan Olympic Committee for the championship.
There was nobody to put up the budget to BOC. So BOC has to keep some budget for us to organize the national and international championship. So because of that, because of the absence of governance structure and due to some, last year we had some problems, so we are not able to organize this year the national championship.
In order to conduct any championship, the association needs a governing body to get funding support from the BOC. However, he said the association has plans to form a governing body next month. For Pema Sawang, Pup Game for BBS News.
Well, that's all for this time. Do join us next week. Thank you for watching.